Inductee is a coach of mine, a coach of many of you, and that's Coach Art Snowy. If you had the privilege of playing for Coach Art Snowy, raise your hand. Coach Snowy coached at Edmonds High School and Edmonds Woodway High School. He was a math teacher at Edmonds and Edmonds Woodway High School for 33 years. He was head baseball coach at Edmonds High School from 1975 to 1978. Head girls basketball coach at Edmonds in 1976. Head boys basketball coach at Edmonds from 1977 to 1990. And head boys basketball coach at Edmonds Woodway High School from 1991 to 93 and 97 to 2000. He was co-head football coach at Edmonds High School for 8 seasons. Assistant baseball coach at Edmonds High School from 1971 to 75, and an assistant football coach at Edmonds High School for 13 years. Coach Snowy won 5 Wesco basketball titles: 1971, 1981, 1989, 1991, and 1998. He won 2 Wesco baseball titles, 1976 and 1978. He took 6 basketball teams to the state tournament. He took 2 Edmonds High School teams to the state baseball tournament, 1976 and 78. He coached 3 football teams to the state playoffs, 1981, 83, and 85. More than anything, Coach Snowy believed in those he coached and worked to help all his players reach their potential. And I know I speak on behalf of those who had the privilege of playing for Coach, that, you know, his teams were very well coached and always well prepared. And we always knew going into a game exactly what we were up against and what we needed to do to be successful. He was a very positive coach. He never raised his voice. It was only about us and we. There was no such thing as I or me. He made you believe, and he got us to play as a team. And as I look back at my career, and I was very fortunate to be part of a lot of successful teams with Coach Campbell and Coach Snowy. That's one of the things that sticks out in my mind is my senior year, being on a Western Conference championship team that he took from a kind of a 3-3 start to a team that won 16 games and won the conference championship and a berth into the state tournament. And it's something that I'll always cherish, and I thank you, Coach. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Coach Snowy into the Edmonds Woodway High School Athletic Department.
Thank you very much. As the other people have stated that have been up here, this is really kind of an emotional thing. When I first talked to Angie about this and stuff, I had no idea what years I'd been coaching. I had no idea how many titles we won. What we had, I didn't know any of that stuff. So I had to go back through all the old annuals that I had at home, newspaper clippings that I had stored in a file cabinet and everything. It took me a long time to get that stuff figured out, but what it did is it started to bring back all the memories, and all the memories of the kids that you've worked with, teams you've worked with, and then having some of them here tonight come up and talk and stuff. It just, and that's why those of us that have been up here tonight, that's why it gets to be a little emotional. But I did do one thing though. I was on this turf for 44 seasons. And when I first started here in 1969, we always wore jackets, shirts, ties, slacks. I went and bought this outfit just for tonight. This is just an absolutely incredible event. I walked through the side door over here earlier. I got here early. I expected to see like 10, 12 tables. And holy cow, I looked at the room and I went, you gotta be kidding. It's incredible, those of you who made the effort to come here this evening, and it's truly a privilege and an honor to be standing up here. So I thank the committee, Angie and the committee. Thank my family. We're on 2 tables over here. My wife of 48 years, she stayed with me through all this time. And I appreciate that. My wife Betsy's back there. Our children are back there. My grandkids are all here. Someone came from out of town to be here, and that meant a lot to me. When I first started here in 1969, I had 2 mentors here. I started out as the assistant football coach, and I was working for Rich Rowe. And Fred Shull couldn't have said it any better. Fred and I'll talk about him in a minute. But it was really true. He was an absolute mentor to us. And what I would do is I would eat lunch. Most of the years I was assistant football coach, I'd eat lunch down in the locker room with him. I'd bring a sack lunch, he'd bring a sack lunch, neither one of us liked cafeteria food. So we'd sit down there and draw football plays on chalk on the floor and talk about different things. And then we'd talk about life and what it means to coach. And I remember when he was getting towards the end of his career, he'd done like 30-some years, and I asked him one time, I said, well, God, when do you know when it's time to retire? Because I plan on doing this for a long time, because I absolutely love doing this. And he said, one day you'll wake up in the morning, and you will not have the same enthusiasm to go to the field, to go to the gym, and you will know. I reached that point a few years ago, about 10 years ago. I woke up one morning and I went, I cannot do the justice to the young people that we work with. We owe it to them to give them our best. And so, but he was a great mentor for me. And then I was assistant basketball coach for Bill Medine, who was another absolutely, truly great gentleman. Both of them taught me a lot about how to prepare, what to do, but most importantly, both of them, I think the one thing they taught me, never give up on a student, never give up on a player. Sometimes you want to wring their neck, but don't ever give up on them. Someday it will all work out, and I've never forgotten that lesson from the 2 of them. I wound up doing football for 16 years. I did basketball for 27. I did baseball for 7. Quick math lesson here, because that's what I taught all those years. That's 50 sports seasons. Wow. Should have gotten them, Other people being inducted here tonight. I cross over, because of all those seasons, I cross over with so many of the people that you've seen out here tonight. I can even go back to the 49 Edmonds football team. I even know some of those people. That's how old I've got. They're really old. But Fred Shull, he and I have a special relationship. We coached football together, basketball, baseball together. Our rooms were right next to each other. For those 25 years that we taught together, we both taught math. Sometimes I would hear him pounding on the wall over there. He'd be yelling at students. I'd have to go over and calm him down. Dale Parker, special friend, coached basketball with me. He was my assistant for a long time, and a great friend. Gave me just incredible advice over the years, and I truly appreciated that. Words of wisdom all the time. Dale, I so appreciate what you did. The other people that I crossed over with here, Mike Pittis, Mike Hess, Tom Campbell, Bryce, Bruce Evans. You know what the one thing they all have in common? It's not coaching. They were all great teachers. And that's what this was about. It's about teaching. And they were all great teachers. Mike Hess was a history teacher. Mike, wrestling and I'm in basketball, so our seasons are together, right? His locker and my locker were together all the time. I had to smell all that sweaty wrestling gear all the time. But it was interesting. Mike and I had a special relationship. It wasn't about sports. It was about education. It was about history. What are you doing in history? What are we teaching in history? Why is it important? And he and I bonded that way, and I've always respected him for that. Teachers. Tom Campbell was a great teacher. I mentioned that this is how we dress. When we started teaching in 1969 at Edmonds High, you were told to wear slacks, a shirt, a tie, and a coat. Everybody did that but Tom Campbell. Tom Campbell wore a shirt, a tie, blue jeans, and his running shoes. Nothing was ever said. I've been around so long, I outlasted 4 superintendents, 3 athletic directors, and 7 principals. I told them all at the time, I will still be here when you're gone. But you know why I respect those people, those superintendents and those ADs and those principals? Very simple reason why. You know when you win championships, how everybody's your best friend? Everybody wants to participate in it. What happens on those seasons when you don't have great seasons? You only have a few wins. You finish towards the bottom of the league. Been around long enough, we had some of those seasons. That's when I respected those administrators the most. I would get letters in my box at school. I would get them mailed to me, and they would say things like, great season. Didn't win a whole lot of games, but God, your kids played hard. And they were better and better and better as the season went along. That's, to me, was the ultimate. Anybody can join in when you're winning. But when you're having a tough season, that's when your true personality and people come forward. So I always did appreciate that. We then had the merger. We had the 2 schools combined. Boy, was that an experience. When you've done 44 seasons here, and then all of a sudden now we're going to combine 2 schools. I was on that committee that did that. That was an interesting experience. Here's the Edmonds people on one side of the table. Here's the Woodway people on the other side of the table. We're going to call it Edmonds Woodway. No, we're going to call it Woodway Edmonds. We're going to call it Tigers. We're going to call it Warriors. How about school colors? Let's just junk all the colors and let's start all over again. Got to be an interesting process. But we got through it. And here we are in a beautiful facility. Everything worked out for the best. And now we've got history coming back, which is so important. I think you can't take 80 years of Edmonds High School and say it didn't exist. You can't take all those years of Woodway High School and say they don't exist. Put the 2 histories together and make it one great project and facility. I was asked to mention a couple of teams. I want to give you 2 quick examples of teams. One was a championship team and one wasn't. The 80-81 basketball team Bill Hull talked about. He was point guard on that team. We were picked for last place. We started out 3-3. We lost a short rest by 32 points early in the season. It looked bad. I didn't really like what was going on. I kicked the players out of the gym for a week, told them to take some time off, and then we'd come back and we'd see what we could do. Like Billy said, Bill said we ran off about 16 in a row, and we wound up winning the conference championship. Standing in front of the student body at the pep assembly prior to the championship game, which was up at Marysville. This is the only time in my career I told students to be totally disobedient. I told them when we won the game, there was no doubt we were going to win the game. They beat us by 32. They had 6 Division I players on their roster. We had none. We will beat them. I promise you, we will beat them. I remember the players were lined up in front of me, and they all turned around and looked at me like, whoa. Ed, are you talking to us? We will win. Here's the deal. You go to the game, ride those Rooter buses up there, drive up there, whatever you want to do, fill the stands. When we win the game, towards the end of the game, they're going to tell you 100 times on the PA, students, do not come down on the floor. I'm telling you right now, you come down on the floor. And we did. The other one is the 76-77 girls basketball team. It was the one year that I coached girls basketball. We had all the levy failures. Some of you remember those. We were down to one varsity team. All the assistants got laid off. They asked me to do the girls basketball team. They'd won one game in the first 3 years of girls basketball. We won 2 games. One of the greatest seasons I've ever had in my life. The young women that were on that team worked as hard or harder than any group I've ever coached. They had lost the year before to one team by a score of 80-8. We lost to them by 10 points. We never lost by more than 12 points that entire season, even though we only won the 2 games. I couldn't have been more proud of a group of young people in my whole life than I was that team. Championship team, yeah, you get all the spoils and all the hurrahs. This team worked probably as hard as any team I've ever been around for 2 wins, but boy did they ever win. I never viewed myself as a sports coach, which is kind of surprising, and I think I learned that from Coach Rowe and Coach Medine. I never really just viewed myself as a coach. I totally believed in the concept that there are student athletes, and the student part was really important. And so I always tried to monitor that and make sure our students were having success in the classroom also. And we really worked hard at that. My whole goal was simply this. When you come into my classroom as a student, you come onto the floor, onto the football field, onto the baseball field, whatever it was, I want you to be a better person by the end of the season than you were when we started. I want you to be a positive, contributing person to society. That was always my whole goal. Like I said, I never knew really how many wins or anything we had. I never measured success in that way. It was always measured by who are you becoming as a person. And some of the former players and students that have been here tonight, I was so happy to see how successful they are and everything. That to me is what I was about. Finally, I just like to thank all the players and students whom I coached and taught over the years. Very humbled, very honored. When I was just writing this out over the last couple of days, I even teared up a couple of times. This is just unbelievably humbling to be honored like this, and it's truly a pleasure to